Let's rewind back to last season. Whilst we were fighting to stay in the Premier League and managed to stay up after that fantastic win against Leeds, two sides were pretty much confirming quite early on their place in the Premier League for the following season. Those two teams were Burnley and Sheffield United. However, it looks like both of them are going to be going back to the Championship. Both sides are on 13 points, quite a way adrift of safety now that Everton have got a significant amount of points back. Say what you will about that, at the end of the day, that is a conversation for another day. But I'm sure that Luton fans and Forest fans aren't probably too particularly happy with the Toffees getting their points back. But this video isn't about Everton. It's not about Forest. It's not even about Luton, of course, the side who went up via the playoffs last season. Or it's about Burnley and Sheffield United. So, of course, we played the Clarets on Sunday and it was a 2-0 victory. However, I'm going to be completely honest. We didn't have it all our own way. And to be fair, for large spells of that game, AFC Bournemouth was second best. So why are the Clarets in this situation? And Sheffield United, why are they just so poor? There is a lot of questions, and I'm going to give my honest opinion. Burnley, Sheffield United fans, you might want to close your ears, but to be honest, I'm probably not going to be saying anything new. So Burnley romped to the Championship title last season. It looked as if they were going to clear, a significant points margin at one point. They did tail off towards the end, though. Vincent Company did make a number of signings last season during the summer to actually as well to bolster their prowess ahead of the Premier League. It hasn't really worked, and I'm going to give my honest views on that. So going back to 2015, when we was promoted to the Premier League for the first time, did I give us a hope in hell of staying in the top flight? Of course, a lot of these players, Charlie Daniels, Steve Cook, Simon Francis, Harry Arter, these were all players that had come up through the divisions with ourselves. By all means, they were heroes. Mark Pugh, a man that was signed from Hereford United for a minimal fee. These were players that, nobody had ever really given a chance of playing in the Premier League at previous clubs that they were at. But they did. And through Eddie Howe, that stability got the very best out of them. And apart from a couple of weeks, we weren't really in the relegation zone. So stability is the big key. Now, of course, Vincent Company, Burnley have been promoted. There's been a lot of changes. A lot of players have come in to bolster their ranks, and it really hasn't worked for them. And to be honest, it hasn't worked for many sides. I know I said that this video isn't about Nottingham Forest, but I lie. To be honest, Nottingham Forest are a great example of this. Now, our side, we have made signings, but our side hasn't changed. You've still got the likes of Philip Billing. You've still got the likes of Dominic Solanke, Ryan Christie, players who were in that championship side that won promotion. You've still got quite a lot of them. Whereas Forest is a complete turnaround. Now, I know it was a necessity for them, but was it really for Burnley to have made all those signings and maybe jiggle the harmony of the squad? Also, what you've got to look at is they did control large periods of their game against us at Turf Moor on Sunday. You know, honestly, I was impressed with some of their link-up play. But if we were still playing now, whenever you watch this video, would they have scored? No, not in a million years. They wouldn't have scored if we gave them 6 weeks of playing against Bournemouth. Um, and the problem is they just haven't got that firepower to score and put the ball in the back of the net. But they do. They've got Jay Rodriguez on the bench, somebody who can score goals. And I think he's been underutilized for the Clarets. Don't get me wrong, Breen Larson did have that shot that, was well saved by Neto, but we were second best for a lot of that game. But the difference is that we can score goals from numerous locations, whereas Burnley, you just got the gist that they weren't going to. So I can see why Burnley are in that situation and why I think, when they do eventually get relegated and do regroup in the summer, because let's be honest, it's going to happen now. It's going to happen. I can't see, Vincent Company would need a statue, as would Chris Wilder at Sheffield United, if he was to keep them up. But in the summer, they really need to look at, their attacking options, because they need to get that right, because I don't feel that the side have got that attacking intent, that is needed to get back out of the championship. They've got the quality. They've got very, very good sides and real good quality in those ranks. But unfortunately for the Clarets, they just haven't got that firepower. Now let's talk about Sheffield United. And I watched their game against Arsenal, where they were 5-0 down at half time. I honestly thought at one point during that match, and it was around about when they were 4-0 down, and I thought that we could see the first double figure game in the Premier League. Now, if I was a Blades fan, I would be absolutely furious with that performance. It seemed gutless. It seemed like there was nobody playing for the badge. And Sheffield United are a well known and a good club that those players should be working their socks off for Sheffield United. But it's quite clear that they're not good enough. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a difference. If you're not good enough and go down, but go down with a fight. Now, let's take Luton. I know we said we wasn't going to discuss Luton, but again, I lie. Luton, you know, might not be good enough to stay in the Premier League, but they are giving it one damn fight to actually do so. And the way they've been playing, they pushed Villa hard. They pushed Manchester United hard. They pushed Manchester City for a period of time. They were 1-1 against ourselves until what unfortunately did happen that day, which will still haunt a lot of our fans and Luton fans. And I'm sure that it will be quite a memorable occasion with fans doing the right things at Dean Court to support people put in those situations with heart diseases and heart illnesses, you know, and in the future. So I think, you know, Luton are really putting up a fight. And I don't think it's just for Tom Lockyer. I think they were always going to put up that fight. Sheffield United look devoid of that. Now, there's a number of reasons, and you know, I'm sure I will be speaking to a Sheffield United fan, and I'm sure that, and they're welcome to rip into their side as they rightly should do. But in all honesty, I think it boils down probably a little bit deeper than the players. Now, Chris Wilder is a well known manager. He's a good manager. He's done a very, very good job at Sheffield United. No, I, I don't have to tell any Blades fans that, I think they all appreciate Wilder. However, the problem is I think that he has kind of lost the dressing room. Who's going to get it back though? Because I think Heckingbottom lost the dressing room as well. They were a side that Heckingbottom did a very, very good job to get them back into the Premier League. They were a side that were really hampered and struggling, financially more so because of what was going on in the background. Now, I'm not going to get into, and I promise this one, I'm not going to get into their Saudi prince. Everybody wants a Saudi prince, but I don't know if Sheffield United fans do. But Abdullah bin Masaid Al Saud hasn't done a great job with the Blades. In all honesty, it looks as if the Blades are going to be going down with a whimper. Um, and a club like Sheffield United shouldn't be going through that. I think the fan base, have stuck by them, and they are of complete credit to that football club. But in all honesty, Sheffield United just looked a defeated side as soon as they ran out against Arsenal yesterday. There was no fight. There was no drive. There was no. Defensively, they just looked poor. It's a case of when you wear that shirt, have a battle. You might get beat. You was playing Arsenal, but at the same time, there was just a lack of fight. The second half was a bit better, but did Sheffield United really look like they were gonna, if you reverse that game back to 0-0, did Sheffield United ever really look like they were going to win that game based on the second half? I know they were 5-0 down at half time, but let's say, if it was a new match, I don't think they were. I don't think they were. And it's that heart, that's that belief that's gone. Um, and I'll be honest, at half time, I made a view that against Burnley, we didn't really need to get out of second gear. And what I mean by that, like I say, Burnley were the better side against us, but they couldn't score. They couldn't score. Now, if you can't score and you're susceptible to conceding, which Burnley are, it's only going to go one way, and that's what Vincent Company needs to sort out. Sheffield United have got an even bigger problem because they are on the equal number of points, but at the same time, they concede a lot of goals. They've got no heart. They've got no drive. And does that come from Wilder? Does that come from Heckingbottom? I don't think it comes from the managers. I don't think, that the squad are unprofessional. I think it probably comes from higher up. And, it's a real, real shame for their fans. And they're a good group of fans. I like their fan base. That they're in this situation. Are we going to win on Saturday? I'd be very disappointed if we didn't, and by a considerable margin. If we play like we did against Manchester City, you know, it could well be a case where Sheffield United concede 5 goals for a record seventh time. I'm not. I'm going to be honest. I don't think that I am preaching and turning around and saying nothing that Sheffield United fans and Burnley fans aren't thinking themselves. And I've got massive respect for both clubs. What I am saying though is, I'm giving my review on the Burnley game. I think we played poorly, but we didn't have to get out of second gear. We took our goals well. Did we had that scare? Yeah, we did have that scare when that free kick was well saved by Neto, but it looked like it was the only time when Burnley were actually going to score, because when they were having corners, it didn't really look like they were going to get anywhere near. And for the amount of opportunities that they had, they should have buried one at least. Whereas, the opportunities that we had we took, we took those. And Sheffield United, unfortunately, based on, that Arsenal game, I just cannot see where the next win this season is going to come, um, which is a real shame. Which is a real, real shame. Um, some people say that this is the worst two teams that the Premier League has seen, and I don't think that. I don't think that. But what I do think is you've got one team that is probably imbalanced in Burnley, and you've got one team that is completely and utterly disheartened in Sheffield United. It might be famous last words, you know, and I hope not, because, you know, another 3 points is probably going to do us a lot more good than it probably will Sheffield United. I think it will, you know, if Sheffield United do get the 3 points, I still cannot see them surviving. And Blaze fans, I'm sorry about that, but I cannot see Sheffield United surviving at all. Likewise, Burnley, if Burnley pick up another 3 points, I can't see them surviving because I can't see where there's going to be a run, and that's what they need is a run strung together because they are well, they're 11 points adrift of safety, and that is and counting. You know, Nottingham Forest might get point deduction. Everton might get some more points deducted. Um, but at the same time, I think personally, those two are probably gone. Let us know what you think. Why are Burnley and Sheffield United so poor? Do put in your comments in the comment section. I'm sorry, Burnley fans. I'm sorry, Sheffield United fans. Of course, you are our two opponents. We're sandwiched in the middle of two games between us. Will Luton be coming with you? I don't know. I don't know. I think they've got a little bit of fight, which I'm wondering whether or not Forest or Everton have. Of course, Forest have won one in the last five, which is effectively the equivalent. Yes, they did draw one, so they have got a point extra in the last five games than Sheffield United. Um, However, Everton are quite atrocious, to be perfectly honest. So, could Luton survive? I think they might. I think they might. And, if I was a betting man, which I'm not, I think I'd probably put a little bit of money on Luton to stay up. Let us know what you think. Let us know your thoughts about Burnley and Sheffield United and Luton, Forest and Everton. Until the next video, up the cherries. We'll see you soon. Thanks for joining us.